chance to compete with the other boys to impress one of the girls.
Oh, wow. I'm not sure I'm ready to think about Hassan having a lady friend.
Or a guy friend. You never know.
Wow, what a clip to start off this video. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in this video I'm just going to give my thoughts and opinions and review over the Dragon Age Veilguard game. So far I have done 2 complete gameplays, and I am currently working on a total of 4 romances using 4 different rooks. My main human warrior Grey Warden, my elven mage Mornwatcher, my Qunari female Antivan Crow rogue, and my male Qunari Shadow Dragon warrior. I don't know where I want to begin dissecting my thoughts about this game, but I guess I'll just go ahead and go with the positives. Despite what everybody else usually say, I enjoy the gameplay mechanics and the graphics of this game, and it's very fun to actually play this over and over again. Veilguard further expands the lore of the Dragon Age universe, and it actually really is fun to actually dig in to learn the history of the elves and what Solas has been doing in the past during the ancient elven times, and a bit of Qunari history and lore. I remember a few years ago I created some predictions for this game, and originally my prediction was that the elven gods were going to be released. In my head I thought all of them were going to be released at once. And it does sound like overkill now that I say it out loud, because 2 was just enough. But reflecting back to the gameplay aspect, I really do love the skill tree flow. And I do like the mechanic of leveling up your characters by bonding with them, which is essentially just bringing them along with you as you complete the main quest and side missions as well. Even though the game is not open world, each section of the map is very massive, and of course it is restricted. You have to go a little bit further in the main story in order to return back to those areas to explore it further, and some of them are locked behind companion personal quests. Nevertheless, there are so many things that you can collect that will actually help with upgrading your weapons and armor, and also upgrading the shops as well, whichever faction you choose to go ahead and buy your gear from. One thing that I really love about the game is that if you're out there exploring, maybe you open up a chest and you find an extra suit of armor or gear that you currently have, instead of it duplicating, it actually upgrades it. Another thing I will defend is the facial animations. I really do think that this is an improvement compared to the disaster of Andromeda. The people that are complaining are just expecting this mocap level of facial animation that they usually see in games like The Last of Us, Mortal Kombat, and many others. And I really think the voice acting is pretty good. I think the only thing that held it back was the dialogue and how it was written, which I will touch on in a sec. However, I do want to say that this game is still fun and entertaining for me, and I'm still going to continue to play it, even though I am going to go ahead and go over the negatives that do irk me about the game. I do want to go ahead and express my excitement how I was able to go ahead and see our returning characters, and not just our customized Inquisitor, but of course Morgan, Dorian, Isabella from Dragon Age 2, and finally the return of our customized Inquisitor. I've seen many people complain about how they aged up our old returning characters, and I'm trying to understand why is that a huge deal, because obviously people age. Of course she's not going to, or even Dorian, they're not going to remain young forever. And with age, of course, there's going to be gray hairs. There's going to be a bit of a style change. That is something that's naturally happen for people that age. You're not going to like the same thing forever. And yes, we can go ahead and argue that Morgan did look the same from Origins all the way to Inquisition as well, wearing the same outfit and same hairstyle. I mean, you guys can't still expect her to still wear the same outfit from Origins all the way to even Veilguard. She's getting older, and it wouldn't make any sense for her to be as old as her mother one day, still wearing the same outfit, especially that one. And let's just hypothetically say they make another Dragon Age game and it takes place 20 years after Veilguard. Do you really expect Isabel to still behave the same way and dress the same way as she did in Dragon Age 2? No, you wouldn't. You guys would have all said that she's too old to be acting that way. Okay, so I know I've already talked about my enjoyment of the graphics and the gameplay, but I do want to go ahead and talk about my enjoyment of the story. I do enjoy the designs of the Darkspawn and the designs of the dragons in this game. I want to go ahead and just say that the dragons have looked the same since Inquisition. It's definitely an improvement from Origins and in Dragon Age 2. So when I see people complaining and trying to compare the dragons from this game to the dragons in Baldur's Gate 3, that's how you know they've never actually played a single Dragon Age game, especially Inquisition. So, of course, Solas tries to open the veil to release the elven gods so that he could go ahead and destroy them once and for all. And in doing so, it was interrupted by Rook and our few other companions, and that ended up releasing Elgar'nan and Gillenane into the world. And now they're wanting to spread the blight throughout the entirety of Thedas and craft the world into their glorious blighted image. And not only do you have to gather a group of companions, but you also have to gather a group of factions to come together to take down the elven gods. And now that we got what I like and the basis of the story out of the way, I'm just going to go ahead and nitpick and talk about the things that I don't like in the game. Everything I say here is totally unscripted, and I do not have a pinpoint of where I want to start, but since I have this clip going, I'll go ahead and start here. So this mayor was tricked and tempted to give over the villagers to the elven gods, which resulted in the villagers being blighted. Some dead and some are left controlled by blood magic to the point of no return. And we only have two options to judge this mayor. Either we leave him for dead or we go ahead and spare him and show mercy. And you have a third option. If you are a Grey Warden, you can actually conscript him, make him join the Wardens, and of course you do see him later on in the game as well. My only issue is the fact that they did water down the evil options and the evil dialogue in this game compared to how it was in the previous game. And even in Inquisition, you can still be an evil jerk. There's plenty of options where you can either kill a person then and there or allow their companions to go ahead and kill that person. So why can't we do that in Veilguard? If I wanted to go ahead and have that option for some of my characters, if I want to do like this remorseless, unsympathetic Rook, I should have the option to create that and play as that if I wanted to. Because even in this game, they try to make our Inquisitor seem like this good guy that was really great friends with Solas, knowing that I created a dwarf that punched Solas in the face and was an extreme narcissist. So no, our Inquisitor was not a good guy. And I have to say that it is definitely bad writing when it comes to trying to make the characters all fuss or argue about something that is really minute. Like you have Emmerich and Harding arguing over Emmerich wanting to bring more books and a shaving kit to a camping trip, and then you'll have another one where Taash and Emmerich are arguing because Taash is uncomfortable with Emmerich's necromancy. The second one with Taash and Emmerich, I don't mind. It's just the way that it was written, because even Iron Bull is uncomfortable with the whole magic situation, especially when you sided with the mages in Inquisition. I didn't even notice that Lucanus and Davrin were kind of going at each other or didn't like one another until I had Davrin in my party and that other person, I don't know if it was Balara, mentioned that, hey, are you guys getting along? I didn't even know they had bad blood. Honestly, I wouldn't have even minded that if they just did a better job at introducing that and writing it, because to have like an enemy to friend relationship growth between the two would have actually been pretty cool if they did a better job at writing it. My guess is that this started back in Weishaupt when Lucanus was not able to actually land a direct hit at Gillenane, but I could be wrong. And I want to go ahead and tackle this issue about what a lot of the Dragon Age fans have been saying in regards to an article that said that Rook is like a therapist in the new Dragon Age. And many of them were defending this talking point, saying that you were always a therapist in all of the games. And I somewhat disagree with that. Yes, you have the ability to be a therapist and help our companions heal through whatever issue, personal quest that they're going through, but you also have the option and the ability to make their situation even worse. I've made these talking points in a previous video, but I'm just going to go ahead and reiterate it here. So the abilities that I'm talking about is, of course, Iron Bull having to sacrifice the Chargers for the sake of having the Ben Hasrat team up with the Inquisition, giving Fenris back to his master, killing Anders after destroying a chantry, having Blackwall aka Tom Rainier continue to live by the false identity of Blackwall, sabotaging the urn of sacred ashes while also simultaneously killing Liliana. But in the Veilguard, after completing the personal quest of each companions, the final decisions for all of them doesn't really even make a huge difference. The only companion I believe that actually has choices where it affects them majorly is Emmerich. His choices are continue the path of lichdom or resurrect Manfred. And honestly, I didn't think they were going to animate his lichdom ceremony. I just thought maybe it was something that was going to happen after the game is completed. And honestly, this whole scene was giving me such anxiety because I thought maybe the lichdom would fail, or maybe there was like a quest or something that I didn't do that may cause it to fail. I wasn't 100% sure. But of course, this is the new generation of BioWare. Of course, everything the companions do is going to succeed. And then there's Taash, who has the ability to either accept their Kunari culture or their Ravani culture. I don't know if that makes much of a difference outside of just a armor change. But as I stated, Emmerich is the only one that actually has an interesting outcome when it comes to his personal quest that actually affects his life, just like the companions in the previous games. And can I say I'm not a fan of their whole talk no jutsu thing that they have going on, this whole Steven Universe conflict resolution that they're trying to do with the companions and their mortal enemies? Say whatever you want about Taash, but at least they end up killing the enemy from their personal quest. And I'm not saying that all of them have to kill their enemies from their personal quest. I just like to have an option to do so. And I know Davrin ends up killing his enemy from his personal quest, but I really don't like the fact that he's trying to reason with a demon. Isaiah is not the same person that she used to be. She's not that same Grey Warden. What are you doing trying to talk her out of doing the heinous acts towards these griffins? Kill her. And this is exactly what I'm talking about when I say I hate this talk no jutsu, this Steven Universe type of conflict resolution that they're trying to do with these companions and in this game, watering down like major conflicts and consequences. And this whole issue that I have with the Dragon Age community nowadays is that any sort of criticism that you have towards the game, whether something good or valid, they disregard any and every criticism towards the game and assume that you are attacking the game for every little detail. And now for the romances. I can definitely say that the romances is lacking in this game compared to its predecessors. I really do feel like it's lacking in this department for this game. The romance is not exactly what I expected, what we all expected it to be. And I'm trying to figure out what went wrong with BioWare, because in the past they weren't afraid to show nudity. And a lot of the romance scenes were well animated and actually well put together for the romance and for the character and the companions. The only section of this game that has nudity is the character creation, and the only way you'll be able to actually see supposed nudity is if you have a female body and you choose the underwear that does not have a bra. That is the only time you can ever see any sort of nudity in this game. And I'm not saying that nudity should be the focus, but it gets to the point where even in Andromeda, that infamous romance scene with Male Ryder and Cora, that well animated part of the whole entire game, is better than all of the romances in Veilguard. And another hypocritical thing that I've seen in the Dragon Age community is the whole Lucanus romance, saying, oh well, he's slow paced anyways, knowing that there's art showing that there would have been more to his romance than what they've placed in the game. The same group of people who says that Lucanus taking it slow because he never been in a relationship are the same ones who went to Baldur's Gate 3 and immediately romanced Astarion and lusted after him when he slept with them in the forest.
Waiting to have you.
Like, be so for real right now. Astarion has never been in a real relationship and we still get scenes like this from him. Stop accepting crumbs from BioWare. Now let's get to somewhere dangerous, borderline dangerous territory and talk about Taash. Honestly, I do like Taash. I like their personality. I think Taash is pretty entertaining. Taash has their funny moments every once in a while, but not often. Before the game was released, I've seen where people who were reviewing the game, playing the game early, were told not to show clips of a certain quest line. And I knew that it has something to do with the LGBTQ community. Originally, I thought it was like an NPC quest line because there have been plenty of LGBTQ plus people in past BioWare games, so I thought it was one of those. And as we find out, it's actually about Taash. I don't mind this being part of their identity, but I can definitely see where people express the same disappointment of it being for Taash. People came to this game expecting a more dominant and assertive version of Karlach when it came to Taash. I remember seeing the comments being flooded with calling Taash dummy mommy and so many other things. And BioWare did technically deliver on that personality and romance aesthetic that I just now described. In my personal opinion, I would have preferred it to be to an NPC to have that type of personal quest line, but hey, I'm okay with it. I can rock with this. I still plan on having my male Kunari romance Taash. My only issue is the writing. It can come off as preaching a lesson, and it can also be a little bit too fast and kind of awkward when it comes to trying to help Taash discover who they are. And I'm gonna go ahead and go there, but this whole pulling a barf scene does not help out with the lesson or help out with Taash and those who are in the same shoes and situation as Taash.
Any reason you can't just apologize?
Sometimes people say, oops, sorry, and hope that fixes it, but they just want to get the whole thing over with. Trust me, I know. But pulling a barf, you sweat a little, makes you think about it a little more, shows the other person you mean it.
What if they mean it when they say they're sorry, though?
And that's the other reason. Some people mess up and get all dramatic. They make it about them.
And the reason they do that is because people really do get aggressive and a bit physical when it comes to being accidentally misgendered. They're not trying to make it about them. They want to go ahead and just correct it by saying sorry and maybe reiterating their sentence, but they can't do that because still people will try to cancel them or attack them for trying to rectify or reiterate what they were trying to say and do. And how is pulling a barf better than apologizing and moving on? Because you're taking attention literally away from those who are transgender or non-binary by trying to make it about you and doing push-ups. Like, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to misgender you. Let me go ahead and stop everything that we're doing so I can do 10 push-ups to show how sorry I am for misgendering you, bringing all the attention to me and away from you. It would have been faster to just say sorry, not she, but they. Correct your mistakes and keep it going. I wanted to go ahead and bring up Shadowheart because using a dead name has the same consequences and repercussion as misgendering someone, and I wanted to go ahead and just use that as a comparison with the whole Taash situation. Shadowheart's parents have continuously called her Genevieve, and when Shadowheart corrected her parents by saying, I no longer want to be called Genevieve, I prefer to be called Shadowheart, her parents accepted that. If you speak with Arnell, Shadowheart's father, he will accidentally slip up and almost say Genevieve, but he corrects himself by saying Shadowheart. You don't see him trying to pull a barf or try to do push-ups or say, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to try to misname my own daughter. He corrects the situation and continues on.
Besides, Shadowheart still suits me. Even better than before, perhaps. Don't worry. I'm still your daughter. If you want me to be.
I'll call you whatever you like, so long as you're happy. Arnell?
The Moon Maiden guides and helps us find our true selves. Shadowheart. Daughter.
I really do feel like they could have done a better job when it comes to animating or dealing with Tasha's mother's death. Instead of her dying by being slapped with some stone tablets, they could have replaced it with just an axe. That would have been equally gruesome, but a better way of going. I saw the opportunity and I took it. Now let's get to the big Sola villain romance in Dragon Age Veilguard. Now obviously BioWare put a lot of thought and process when it comes to this romance being brought over into the new game, and I think they did a pretty good job with it, and that's the issue. They did a good job with the Solas and Lavellan romance. So good, in fact, that if you make a different Inquisitor that romance any of the other previous companions, they just only receive a letter. That's the only way you'll have any updates with how your Inquisitor is doing with your other romance. Another issue that irks me about this is that if you are an Inquisitor that romanced Iron Bull and you kept him loyal to the Qun, we all know what happens. He betrays you, and then at the end it shows that people were mocking you and saying that he was the reason your arm was ripped off. All of that is wiped away under this new game, so if you select Iron Bull, it's assumed that you helped him break away from the Qun and that everything is all good. Which is crazy because with Taash, we can have them embrace their Kunari cultures and possibly teachings of the Qun. But we spent the entire previous game convincing Iron Bull to break away from the Qun. But we have another one embracing it, the real teachings of the Qun. Why couldn't we do that for Iron Bull? I still don't understand why they couldn't just allow people who never played the previous game to go ahead and use the Creator Inquisitor and all of that they already have in the character creation, and let the rest of us continue using our customized and completed world state. But they won't do that because they won't actually animate or try to put in any of the harsh things that we have done in the previous games, nor allow us to continue that or kick out any companions by getting very low disapprovals from them. And it's crazy because I think it has something to do with Taash, because they know that people would potentially kick out Taash because of their whole identity being really biased and hateful towards them. But we can literally punch and kick out Dorian in the previous game. At this point, it's best to just make a solo villain Inquisitor. That way you have more content for your Inquisitor than what you get compared to making an Inquisitor that romances everybody else. I feel like they could have at least animated some in-game models for the other romances as well. That way we can at least see them and see our Inquisitor interact with them, or perhaps do a double date where it's our Rook with their romance and our Inquisitor and their romance. Like, give us something to work with.
But you do not have to go alone.
Arkelas Virbanal.
Tel Banal, Arama, Virshira Malasa, Pelinaris.
Thank you, Rook.
And now let's get to my final talking point, the ending of this game. I really do believe that BioWare sat in that meeting room and said, hey, remember when everyone stated that they loved Mass Effect 2? Well, let's go ahead and recreate the suicide mission for this Dragon Age game. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the idea that your companions can potentially die from this final mission. It gives you so much stress and anxiety to make sure that all of their companions' quest is dealt with and that every faction is satisfied to attempt to help you in this final mission. The difference between Mass Effect and Veilguard's ending is that even in Mass Effect 2, when you have completed all your companions' quests and have max affirmity with all of them, they can still potentially die because one of the other companions is more better at a certain task and job than the other. With Veilguard, they make it a lot easier. They'll go ahead and show a prompt of what is needed to be done, making it easier for you to select the correct companion to complete the job. Each companion has a unique description about themselves, making it easier for you to select the correct job for them to do. For an example, one of the prompts says you need a mage killer. Obviously, that's Lucanus. You wouldn't select anyone else but Lucanus for that specific task. Don't get me wrong, I do enjoy it. It's a very nice copy and attempt of the suicide mission from Mass Effect 2. After you land on the shore, there's actually two options. Either allow Scout Harding to lead the team or to allow Davrin. And of course, spoiler alert, this does lead to their death. The only issue I have with the whole ending is that there's no epilogue, and I believe that that's just me being accustomed to Baldur's Gate 3. At least in Inquisition, they did a little after party and allow you to have one more cutscene with whoever you romanced, or if you didn't romance anybody, just another cutscene with you by yourself. It would have been nice for them to do something extra, at least bring us back to the lighthouse for a celebration, have all the factions there to celebrate with us, and just give us a little bit of something instead of giving us just an animated slideshow. I mean, if you want to go ahead and keep that, keep it, but also give us something else afterwards. And I know they said there wouldn't be any DLCs, but it still would have been nice to at least have that as some extra content outside of the main story. And I believe that's all I have to say for the game so far. It's very enjoyable. Despite the cringy dialogue and the cringe writing, to me, I obviously see myself playing this game over and over again. And a lot of the people that I see in the comment section that hate on the game always say the exact same NPC line. Oh, gender this and gender that. This game is not strictly just about gender. Literally, that whole dialogue and storyline was specifically about one character. And that's like, what, 5 minutes worth of video recording compared to hours and hours and hours of content? I'm just only mentioning it because I keep seeing these comments under every single video of somebody uploading a clip of the game. And it's never really funny. It's just people who never played a single Dragon Age game jumping on the hate bandwagon. There are valid criticism that I've heard from both Dragon Age fans and those who are not of the series, and I do agree with them. And then there are those who don't really even have a valid criticism or opinion that I completely disregard. But enough of me rambling on. Tell me what you guys think about the game. Do you guys enjoy it? If you haven't got the game, have you seen any gameplays or have you watched any videos about it? And tell me your thoughts. Any improvements that should be done, any future DLCs you wish they could make, or just anything that you're hoping for, not only just in the future of Dragon Age, but in the future of Mass Effect, since they are working on that as well. Because again, this is BioWare. Express your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. And thank you for watching this near 30-minute video, because honestly, I didn't think it was going to be this long. But you guys stuck it out to the end. Thank you.